All right. Good evening, YouTube people. I wanted to give you an update on this year's Duck Family Farms White's Tree Frog breeding. 2 nights ago, we had a huge thunderstorm that brought probably about 4 inches of rain, and our frogs were put outside at a pretty good time, and we caught all of that rain in our rain chamber. This one of my beautiful snowflake males was one of the ones that bred, and we actually found out this evening, about 13 hours after they laid the eggs, that they're viable. I took a small sample of the eggs here, and this isn't a great camera, but if you can see that some of the eggs have started to elongate, and you can barely see on one of the middle ones on the outside ring, it has a faint black line. If you can make out the ones that have the black lines, those are the beginning of the embryos forming. And the neat thing about that, tomorrow morning, these will all be hatched and more than likely free swimming tadpoles. I've noticed now, since this is our 6th time breeding them, that they seem to develop slower outside, but they seem to develop healthier outside. So every year going forward now, we've been taking some inside and some outside, and the ones outside have just been doing great. I wanted to give you guys an update too from our last video on someone saying hello to us. I couldn't find the main troublemaker calling, but one of them was calling back to him. They're pretty tired out. They started calling yesterday, during the thunderstorm around 4 o'clock, and they didn't stop until 4 a.m. And then my guess is they actually laid eggs around 6 a.m. So it was a crazy night. And I wanted to go over, from the last video, a few of you guys had some questions. Rachel, what were some of the questions that were given to us?
Okay, so first question's from Victor G. He's asking, how loud are they at night? I'm looking to get one, but with small children in the house, I don't want to wake them up at night. Also, the frog would be in my room next to my bed.
Victor, your best bet, you just heard a very small sample. YouTube Elvis the White's Tree Frog, or Elvis the Frog. You'll hear kind of what they sound like singularly, but it's like kind of like a loud barking dog. If you're going to get them, go for a female, and maybe a pair of females. They almost never call, and you won't have any issue with that.
Okay, Sebastian says, thank you for sharing your White's Tree Frog setup. Really fascinating how many tadpoles you produce. I love these frogs and have been keeping them for about 15 years, but have never tried breeding. I'd love to see more videos about your technique, cool videos, and hope you can get more views.
So awesome. Thank you for the support, Sebastian. Usually what we do for breeding is, you can see up here, we have rain bars, and it goes to this pump that goes down to the bottom, which is like a reservoir. If I'm trying to get a breeding at a specific time, I use that. But honestly, it's easier if you can just let nature do its work. And because you can't recreate a barometric pressure drop, which seems to be one of the biggest things that helps spur on their breeding. Good question, though.
Okay, let's see.
Sandy, what do you think? All right, Stinks and Sandy, they agree with the barometric pressure drop. It helps them for going outside in the mornings.
Okay, so Tyler asks, where can I purchase some of your frogs? I have 3 regular ones, and I'm really looking for a blue-phased White's Tree Frog to add to my tank, but I literally cannot find them anywhere. And the one that I found at our local pet store, he's a display animal, I guess, but I can't find any online or any pet store in my areas.
We will have them for sale probably within the next month. Trying to get you guys a video of the one who's been calling. Oh, there he is. That's my super snowflake down there. He's absolutely gorgeous. And he wasn't in Plexus when I came out here, so I'm hoping he was the one who successfully made it. I'm pretty sure he was. He was the loudest and most aggressive of the males, so let's keep our fingers crossed. What was the next question?
Okay, next one is from, I think that's it. Tyler, we talked about Tyler. I think that's it.
One other person asked, I know on a previous video, what we do to condition them to breed. It starts off, I guess you'd call it in the winter. You bring the temperatures down really low to the lowest range they can handle, which is usually around 40 degrees. You keep them at that. At that point, you don't feed them because their body won't actually process the food. You just give them access to water if they need it, but you keep them very dry otherwise, no misting. And then you let the normal springtime temperatures start to kick in, warmer and warmer and warmer, more light, more light, more light, just like it ramps up naturally. And then once you start feeding them, you start ramping up the feeding, and you go through massive, massive, massive amounts of crickets. And once you start feeling like the females are getting plump and the males are calling, it's time to try range chamber on them and let them go.
Dan, I think there's one more. Someone was looking for a 2.40 sexed adult blue phase, knowing if we can part with a group that size.
We definitely can. We'll be able to sex them probably by the end of summer. It takes usually a couple months to get a really good estimate on it. But if you do intend on breeding them, from what I've seen, a 2.4 could work. Obviously, you just need one male and one female for it to work, but they seem to work best in breeding groups where males are kept in at least trios, where they call against each other, and it stimulates the females to actually be more receptive to breed. So I would just up that maybe to like a 3.4 or something like that, or even a 3.2 would be fine. Guys, that's it for our video. I hope you enjoyed. We'll shoot another video in a couple days when the tadpoles hatch, and hopefully we'll get a maybe even an action shot here with the range chamber going. We're hoping to get these guys to breed a few times this year. Thanks so much, guys.